In recent years, small cars have nearly gone extinct, with the Toyota Yaris dying in the US in 2020, the Ford Focus death in 2018, the Ford Fiesta in 2019, the Ford Fusion in 2020, the Honda Fit also in 2020, the Mitsubishi Mirage, which is laying to death this year, and the Nissan Versa, which is getting the axe next year. And the list goes on and on. The point is, small, cheap cars have been replaced by larger, more expensive vehicles. And this is a topic that I've been discussing in a lot of my videos lately. But the good news, it looks as though cheap, smaller cars could be making a comeback, maybe. Well, this is what some of the chatter online seems to indicate. And the fact that this past summer, Ford CEO Jim Farley said that Americans need to fall back in love with small cars, well, this sort of fueled fire on the theory that maybe small cars are in fact coming back. And this isn't the first time Ford specifically has made comments like this. Back in February this year, Ford CEO Jim Farley said, and I quote, "What the customer has now said to us is if you have an EV larger than an Escape, it better be really functional or a work vehicle. But if you do the economics for a vehicle, let's say the Escape are smaller, it's totally different. It completely works. In fact, it's dramatically better operating costs than a Corolla or a Civic or even a Maverick." Basically saying that in order to make EVs work, they have to be small and compact in order to really gain the huge benefit that EVs can potentially offer. And that larger EVs just simply aren't really going to work from an applicable standpoint. Which is interesting because while automakers do make smaller EVs, for example, Tesla, Mercedes, Hyundai, Kia, and more all have smaller vehicles in their EV lineup. But there are still a variety of new vehicles that have been recently released that would definitely fall into the larger, less practical EV segment, like the F-150 Lightning from Ford, the Hummer EV, the Sierra EV, the Rivian, and more. This same Automotive News article then goes on to state, smaller, cheaper EVs are needed to compete with Chinese automakers, with the head of Ford's EV unit this week labeling them as a colossal strategic threat. And you know, the need for small cars makes a ton of sense. Small cars are cheaper to buy, cheaper to maintain in many cases, they're easier to manage, easier to drive and park, and small cars in general on the market today are beginning to look really good. With cars like the Toyota Prius, Hyundai Sonata, Elantra, the Mazda 3, these are all cars that are smaller and more economical that in recent years have really revamped their styling and look extremely good even amongst much more expensive models, which have gotten a lot of people, including myself, excited about the possibility of what could come in this smaller, more affordable segment. And the sales increases that we're seeing in small vehicle markets are really reflecting this need and this desire that consumers have surrounding small economic vehicles. So there is no doubt a need for small cars, and it does seem as though EV makers are beginning to listen to that and hopefully will begin to pivot. But the real question up today is, which smaller, more affordable cars actually exist today, and which ones are potentially worth buying? The first, and really one of the more obvious choices, one that is leading the charge in the new wave of affordable vehicles, but also one that could be argued is neither cheap nor small, is the Ford Maverick. Sure, the Ford Maverick is smaller than the F-150, but it's not exactly small. And at $23,920, it isn't exactly cheap, but it is cheaper than, say, a Super Duty, F-150, or even a Ford Ranger. But the Ford Maverick is no doubt making waves, and it could potentially be credited for why the small car market could make a comeback because of the fact that car buyers of the Maverick and enthusiasts of the Maverick are excited by the fact that not only is this car cheaper, but it also looks good and it looks like a real truck. The Hyundai Elantra is another great choice if you are looking for an affordable, smaller car. Now, I know that people love to hate on Hyundai, but I'm a fan. Not only has Hyundai as a brand had the glow up of a lifetime, but according to J.D. Power's most recent study released earlier this year, Hyundais actually have better reliability than industry average. J.D. Power ranks reliability based on reported problems per 100 vehicles. The industry average is 186 problems, meaning of 100 vehicles, there are 186 reported problems for these cars. Lexus last year was ranked the most dependable brand across the car market as a whole, as well as across the luxury segment. While Kia, weirdly enough, was ranked the best out of mass market cars. Believe it or not, even better than Toyota. Hyundai ranked slightly below Toyota with 170 problems being reported, and so the facts really don't lie here. Hyundai has seen some major improvements, not only from an aesthetic standpoint, but also from a reliability standpoint as well. And with the Hyundai Elantra specifically, not only do you get a reliable car through Hyundai, but you also get one that looks good, it's relatively small, and it has an MSRP of under 22 grand. Taking an example similar to the Ford Maverick, another affordable car that you could look at that I certainly wouldn't consider small, but I would consider cheap, is the Chevy Trax. The Chevy Trax is, in my mind, an example of a car that doesn't look cheap, but it's actually one of the cheapest new cars you can currently buy on the market today. And customers are eating it up because the sales of the Trax have been exploding. And you know, Chevy Trax is one of those cars that that I'm sure I've seen them in person, but I don't even really know what it looks like because this car looks so similar to Chevy's other vehicles, which to me, for a Chevy Trax customer, is actually a good thing. Because from an aesthetics perspective, the Trax compared to the Trailblazer to the Blazer, they all look pretty damn similar, but the Chevy Blazer is $15,000 more than the Chevy Trax. Though size-wise, they're obviously different. But the size difference may not even be as different as you may think. The Chevy Blazer, a car starting at a $15,000 higher price tag than the Chevy Trax, has 64.2 cubic feet of space when the seats are folded down, while the Chevy Trax, a car a fraction of the price, has 54.1 cubic feet of space when the seats are folded down. Really not that significantly different, and for the price tag, it's pretty damn good. The Chevy Trax is a great example of an excellent bang for your buck vehicle, and along with the Maverick is a great vehicle showing that budget doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sacrifice capability and quality. But this does sort of bring us to the topic and original question of this video, which is where are there some cheap, but also small cars that you can buy? And this is where the car market still has a major problem. The Maverick is a great, cheaper vehicle option if you're looking to buy new. But is it small? No. The Trax is also cheap, but is it small? Also no. The Kia Soul XL, starting at $20,290, is no doubt cheap compared to the overall new car market, but it's actually classified as a crossover vehicle. So is it small? Probably not. The Nissan Sentra is a smaller, cheaper option, or the Toyota Corolla, which is considered a small car by today's standards, but when it comes to actual small compact cars, things similar to the Toyota Yaris or the Ford Fiesta, well, we still really don't have any option. And that's a problem, because as we've talked about throughout this video, despite the fact that the selection for small cars is extremely limited, vehicle data clearly points to the fact that buyers want small cars. And you can see here in the data from the first half of 2024 that small car sales have been increasing. The Honda Civic saw a 38% year-over-year increase, the Kia Forte saw a 13% increase, Nissan Sentra saw a 55% increase, the Versa a 65% sales increase, and the Toyota Corolla saw a 25% sales increase. Sales don't lie, people are looking for small vehicles. And this want by the consumer for small cars is amplified whenever we compare the sales data for small cars to the sales data of large vehicles. Because in this same period of time, trucks, which include Toyota trucks, Ram trucks, Nissan trucks, Ford trucks, and more, had a cumulative sales decline of 2.5%. In the first half of 2024, the Cadillac Escalade saw slowing sales year over year 5 out of the first 6 months of this year. Sales for the Lincoln Navigator fell year over year in the second quarter, and the Yukon has seen year over year sales decline every single month in the year of 2024. But maybe in the coming years, that'll change. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.